Good morning, good morning, good morning. Before I start this video, I'm just going to take a few moments just to breathe. Feeling a little bit emotional this morning actually. Just to pause. Those of you who know me know that, intimacy with God is my thing, and I practice a lot of being still and allowing soaking music to just minister to me and to connect with God. And it's something that I do with a group of people every morning at 5. Been doing it since October and had some wonderful, wonderful times during those sessions. But I wanted to get on here this morning. I posted a video yesterday and there was quite a few people that commented on it. But outside of that, I received, spoken to a few more people, and there are some people that are truly, truly, truly struggling. And when you've got a heart to help people, especially people who are suffering with mental health, which is where my heart is because of my own journey, it's hard to know that somebody is really going through it and you are far from them and you can't do what you would usually do, which would just be like, go down and see them or so forth. You are on the end of a phone and you're talking to them and you can hear that they need more than just your voice on the end of the phone, but presently that's all we have. I'm in isolation and I'm on my own, so I can appreciate the challenges that some people are facing. I really can appreciate it. Just because I've overcome depression doesn't mean that I don't have my own challenges. So this may sit right with you and it may not, and that's fine. If it helps you, then that's a good thing. I think there are a lot of people who are quite surprised at how they're feeling, quite surprised by the sudden wave of emotions that they are experiencing given the decisions that have been made with what's going on in the world right now. It is a historical moment because we've never encountered anything like this before in our lives. Whether you believe in negative energy, positive energy, you practice stuff with the universe, or you are a Christian and you know about good, evil forces out there. I don't want to scare anybody and I don't want to get over religious with this, but I just want to put something out there. About a week ago I shared a post and I was talking about praying over ourselves and protecting ourselves, because the Bible tells us that life and death lie in the power of the tongue, and our words have power. And there was a lot of talk within the world leaders and government about global depression, and they were speaking it out. And in some history research that I'd done, even with the Great Depression in America, one of the things that impacted people more than what was actually going on within the economy was the mindset. It consumed people, and that caused things to be a lot worse than what they were. And when you've got words like global depression being released out, it's going to affect you. You're speaking something into existence. You're releasing something, and people buy into that. They get attached to that. Now, there was a lot of emotions flying around the place. You've got people who are feeling lonely, so you've got loneliness, just a lot of loneliness. You've got people who are scared and worried and frightened, so you've got all of those emotions going around. You've got people who are feeling oppressed and locked up, and you've got those emotions going around. You've got people who are grieving because they've lost loved ones, whether to the virus or just loved ones that passed away anyway. So you've got grief going around. You've got people who are sick and so they're worried about their loved ones. You've got people who cannot get to their loved ones. All of these emotions, all these concerns, they're there, they're out there. You've got people who are disappointed because they have had to postpone their wedding. People who are worried about finances because they are not working, they don't know how they're getting paid. Self-employed, employed. You've got people who are business owners who are concerned with how they're going to pay their staff, and business owners who are just concerned with what's going to happen to their businesses. There is a lot. That's a lot going on out there. And so if you think about all of this stuff, spirits, energy, whatever you want to call it, it's there, it's in the atmosphere, and you're going to be affected by it. No matter how positive you are, no matter how saved you are, whether you believe in God or you're an atheist, you are going to be affected by it. But it's what you do, what you put in place to protect you, to help you, to stay focused, to get through. That's what's going to matter the most right now. And I'm not somebody, like I said, that plays too much into, you know, stuff like that. I'm a Christian, I believe in God, I pray and I do cover myself and so forth. But I know from my journey with depression, when I came out of my depression and learned how to fight it, learned how to manage it, I remember being in a position where I'd be at home at times and I could literally see. And when I say see, I don't mean physically see, but you could feel the weight, the heaviness, the darkness, the oppressiveness of this cloud that would just come upon me. And because I was in the position to fight it, because I recognize it, I would fight it. But it was heavy. There were days when I felt like the life, the very breath was being sucked out of me. There was days when I felt like this thing, oppressive thing, everything was on my chest and I could hardly breathe. But the difference between then and before was I was fighting it. So I was getting up, I was working, I was doing stuff, and it felt very heavy. And I would have to pray and I would have to push through. And I remember on a few occasions, I went to church and I got some praying mothers of Zion to pray with me and pray over me, and this thing lifted. The weight of what I could sense and feel at those times, it made sense as to why when I gave in to it, it had the power to take me out. It had the power to make me feel so heavy, so oppressed, so depressed, to the point where I would want to take my own life. So these feelings, these emotions, they are heavy, they are weighty. I remember about a year ago, I make cake. So about a year ago, somebody called me up and they wanted a cake, and the person was a bit awkward on the phone. And normally I would have just like whatever, but I needed the money, and to be honest with you, in the end, it wasn't even worth the hassle that I went through. And this lady, she came to my house to pick up her cake. And when I opened the door, her face was set and it was miserable. And she walked into my house, and usually, you know, you meet somebody and you kind of have a little banter with them and they laugh, they smile, whatever. But her face was just set. I've never met anybody so miserable. No matter what I did, I could not get her to shift her mood. And there were some things, I mean, my cakes are pretty good, but, you know, I couldn't even get her to, like, say that she liked it. I was like, you know, are you happy? It was just grunts, it was misery. And when she left my house, I remember a heaviness came upon me that I believe she brought with her. And it was the first time I'd encountered something where what somebody else was carrying was then transferred onto me. And I mean, my mood went down, heavy, oppressive, just just like that, just like that. And I had to pray, I had to dig deep. I actually remember getting on the phone with a friend and saying, okay, I need you to pray with me because of what has just happened. So I say all that to say this, that given what is happening in the world right now, there's a lot. There's a lot of emotions going around. There's a lot of confusion going around. People are sending WhatsApp message, this theory, that theory, that theory. I don't know. I don't have a theory. All I know is that as a child of God, I have to stay connected to my source. As a child of God, I have to cover myself. I have to pray. I have to keep my eyes fixed on God. That's what I know. And I want to encourage you to do the same. You have to stay focused. So I did a post the other day about what I'm doing to stay focused. A routine. There were so many. If you're a reader, there are books of people who have been successful in life, and it has been down to their regime, down to their daily routine that keeps them focused. Because if you're not focusing on a positive routine, if you're not focusing on, on outside of your positive daily routine, if you're not filling your mind, with godly thoughts, with good thoughts, with what is positive, with what is right, then you're focusing on the negative. And whatever you focus, that's where your mind is going to go. That's where your emotions is going to go. So it's really important that you guard your heart, you guard your mind, and the Bible tells us that. So as part of our morning prayer in our prayer group, what we've been doing for the last 2 mornings, and I had to do this on Monday when I was feeling very heavy and oppressed in my own home, was I got my anointing oil and I prayed for myself, and then I just anointed my head so that my mind was covered, anointed my ears, just protecting it from what I allowed to enter, and my eyes from what I allowed, to see, and just covered myself. I don't know if this is really making sense, but basically what I'm trying to say is that it's important that you cover yourself. It's important that you protect your mind from the negative forces that is out there, because there is a lot. People aren't distracted by work and things like that right now. So there is a lot going on. And so you may be someone who's usually upbeat and chirpy and find yourself right now feeling a bit down, feeling a bit low. I have moved my house around, changed it around so that it's a lot more airy, a lot more spacious. Crucial thing, tidy your house, make sure there is no mess around, because having that clear environment really does help with your mindset. If your space around you is less cluttered, your mind is less cluttered. Have a routine that is a positive one that works for you, even if it's just a routine that you do daily for an hour, something that you can focus on, that is going to remove your mind from focusing on the worry, the concern, whatever it is that's going on. It is challenging out there right now. We are in challenging times, but all of the, as Christians, all of the words that we've been spoken to, all the messages that we've received over the years, now is the time to implement it. If you're not a believer, all of the positive affirmations, which they're still biblical, that you've been speaking over yourself, now is the time to implement it. This is the time to stand strong. It's not the time to fall apart, and to be a rock and a support to people who are going through. So you're going to have to dig deep. You're going to have to dig deep and find something to focus on other than the problems that you're going through. I can't imagine what it's like for parents who are trying to homeschool and work, and for single parents as well, on their own with no respite. I can't imagine. But know that there are people that are praying for you in our prayer groups and stuff, and churches around the world. We're praying for people who are at home alone. We're praying for children. We're praying for families who are feeling oppressed. We're praying for people who are worried about, you know, lack of finances and so forth. We're praying for all of you. So be encouraged, and I hope that this lifts you. I hope that you can, I pray and hope that you can find something, even if it's one thing, to focus on. Find a scripture, find a positive affirmation, find something to shift your mind and focus on that, so that you aren't affected by all the things that are going around, because they will attach themselves to you. But it's our job to shake it off. It's our job to stay focused. So God bless you all. God bless you all. The Bible tells us to focus on these things in Philippians. You know, whatsoever is good, whatsoever is pure, whatsoever is true, whatsoever is trustworthy, to focus on these things. When we focus on these things, yeah, our mind isn't focusing on the other things. And, you know, as God's children, we have the perfect example that Jesus set us when he was in the wilderness and he was being tempted by the devil, and he spoke the word. We're going to have to speak, release, use our mouth to release life, to breathe life, to speak life over our situations, and get the support, get the help. There's, you know, pick up the phone and get someone to pray with you. Make sure that you are in contact with a prayer group, a church organisation, a group that can help you, that you are accountable to, so you are not just left isolated and on your own. So it didn't plan to say all of this, but for the people who I know are crying out, and I've received some quite heartbreaking messages that has asked for prayer. We are definitely praying for you, and stay strong and be safe. God bless you.